Well, first and foremost, I just want to congratulate Purdue on an outstanding accomplishment. Coach Painter and his staff, their players. I'm relatively new to the league. I've only been here for 6 years, but really top to bottom since I've been here, this conference has been the best in my opinion in terms of level of play, level of coaching. You added 2 games, to 18 to now a 20-game gauntlet. And, for them to go through that 20 games, 16-4, and win the Big Ten, to me is an amazing accomplishment considering the competitiveness of the league this year. So I'd like to congratulate them. I'll certainly answer questions about the game, but, to me it's about honoring a great group of guys today. I knew my team was going to fight. I knew they were going to play hard. I knew they were going to keep giving everything, and every time Purdue tried to get away from us, we just kept fighting, and that's the kind of character we have with this group, headed by, an incredible senior class. A bunch of guys who, they believed when there wasn't a whole lot to believe in, with our program. And, when you look back at, when people told me before I got here, you could never win at this program. They told me you could never win double figures in the Big Ten. You could never get to the semifinals of a Big Ten tournament. You could never get to the NCAA tournament. You could never win in the NCAA tournament. All those things were told to those kids. All those things were told to me before I got here, and they accomplished all of them, in their career. And it was a vision. It was a belief that they had in me and the program, and so to see those guys get rewarded and honored the way they were today, they'll always be very special to me. And just to see them walk out with their families and the kind of men that they become, we all want to win and lose, and we live and die with every game. But it's about the character of these guys and the men they become. And that's a good group of seniors right there. So I'm really proud of those guys, and I'm excited that I get a chance to go to another Big Ten tournament with them and see what we can do. Obviously I'm really disappointed for Vic, but we don't know yet what his injury. We all saw that he was bleeding there. He caught a knee to the shin, and we got the best of the best treatment, the medical staff here, and we'll figure out what his status is going to be going forward. I just feel badly that on senior night, he had to walk out with an injury. I relate to it because I broke my foot on my senior night against North Carolina in 1996, and I had to limp off the floor with the trainer, and it's not a fun feeling. When you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears onto a court, you want to walk off the right way. So I really feel badly for him that he wasn't able to do that today. So I'd be open to answering any questions.
What will you remember most about Vic, and what will you remember most about Derek?
Well, with Vic, he and I talked in recruiting. You always have to have a first guy believe. He was the first one. We'll forever be bonded by that. It was coming in here. I had a bunch of people as I took the job. People you respect in the Midwest, and hey, what do you think? What do we need to do in recruiting? And everybody said, you better get your butt over to St. Rita, and you better get in front of Vic Law. He's a talented guy. He's a high academic guy. He's a great student. He's a high character. He's a Chicago guy. He's the kind of guy you want to start your program, as you're building. And that's what I did. And fortunately for me, he believed and he trusted the things we tried to say, about that we could do it. We could achieve here at Northwestern. We were committed to achieving. Everybody was on the same page. Administration, coaches. We were gonna do everything we could to try to get basketball going. And it still takes a lot of courage for somebody to say yes when you have a lot of other options maybe that are more established at the time with history and tradition. And he wanted to be a trailblazer with that, and others followed, And so we'll always have a bond, and he'll always be special. And he's had an outstanding career, personally over 1,000 points. He's a versatile player. He's gotten better through injuries. He missed a season with his shoulder. He had internal injuries that cost him a surgery in the offseason. He's battled through things, and he's had an outstanding career. You know, when it comes to Derek, you know, to me, there's just a picture of Derek when someone says, what is a Northwestern basketball player? You know, he's a special guy. You know, he was very lightly recruited, and all he does is come every day, and he just asks what you need of him. You know, what do you need me to do? You know, and he just does what you ask him to do. And because of that, he's gotten better. You know, he took off his red shirt halfway through his freshman year because the team needed him. And he's turned into becoming, you know, one of the most outstanding big men in the Big Ten, which is a conference full of tremendous big men. And so I just couldn't be more proud of the man he's become and the player. Yeah, well, you know, I think it reminds me back to, you know, everybody kind of goes through peaks and valleys. And when I first got in the league, they were not in a good spot. You know, I remember playing on their senior night my first year, and I think both of us had like 5 wins, and we went in there and won. And I remember Matt, you know, I vividly remember a press conference after that season ended, and he talked about getting back to Purdue basketball, you know, toughness, fight, character, and that's what he did. You know, he went out and he got that class, you know, of last year, those seniors, you know, with Matthias and P.J. Thompson and Vince Edwards and Isaac Haas, and those guys laid the groundbreaking, you know, they laid the foundation, you know, for these last 4 years, you know, and then all of a sudden then you add Ryan Klein, you add Carson Edwards, you add Caleb Swanigan, you know, you add, you know, now they're back to having the kind of culture and of toughness. You know, that's why I told our guys after, you know, they have an amazing culture of toughness and winning that they've created over these past 4 years. And that's what you have to have if you want to win in a really tough league. You know, and like you look at the game today, I mean, the difference in the game was second chance points and loose balls and little things. I mean, 17-0 on second chance points. I think at least 3 or 4 of those were threes where we don't get the rebound. They get it, they kick it out, they hit a 3. They take charges, they dive on loose balls. You know, they do the little things really well. And they're a very tough-minded team. They're very well coached. And they've found the right guys that kind of embody what they want their program to be, and that's where we need to go. You know, we're kind of in the same spot right now. You know, we gotta get to work ourselves, and to me that's a great example to show. You know, everybody kind of goes, nothing is always like this. You go through peaks and valleys at times. It's not always great. It's not always really bad. And, you know, it's an example for me to look what Matt's done over the last 4 years, and that's what we have to do. I have amazing respect for what he's done to build his program back to the level they're at right now.
What led to Vic colliding with Carson up at the top of the key, and were you watching it? What did you see happen?
I didn't see it exactly. I mean, Vic curled on a screen, and I think his knee. I have to see it, but it looked like his knee hit him right on the shin. You know, and I just saw Vic was bleeding. You know, at that point, you got to let the medical people do, especially when there's blood involved. So, you know, I saw him after the game. He was walking. You know, he had a bandage. He's going to get further tests. I think the thing that was most concerning was the fact that it was a pretty good cut. You know, just I think they got him, you know, sometimes, right, you got him right on the spot. It just kind of broke open, you know, and that was the tough part of the whole thing. But I know Vic's going to do everything in his power to keep going. He's a fighter. You know, he's had a really bad knee this year that keeps flaring up on him, and he keeps playing. He wants to be there with his guys, and I know if there's a way for him to keep playing, he will. But we'll find out more. He's going through the tests, and we'll figure it out.
Coach, it seemed like 2 of your freshmen, Miller and Pete, were playing with as much confidence as they have all year. What have you seen from those guys in the second half of the year? What kind of things have you been telling them?
Yeah, they're coming on, which is great. I mean, they're coming on. They're getting better. They're getting more comfortable. A game like today is so great for those 2 guys. You know, you're playing a team, playing for a championship. The intensity's ratcheted up even more than a normal Big Ten game. It's a great atmosphere in the building. You know, both of those guys got a chance to be in the fire today, and that's how you get better. You know, in Pete's case, you know, his season got really derailed there with getting sick in the middle of the season. It cost him 4 to 5 weeks, you know, and he lost a lot of weight, and he had to build himself back up. And it's nice that he's been able to have some games here heading into the off season, really to know what it's going to take, to build his body up, to get work on his game. And, I think he shows a lot of flashes, though, with his skill and his length, that he can be a really good player. And same thing with Miller. Miller's a competitor. I like his aggressiveness these last few games. He's making his moves, he's taking his shots, and he's learning. And, both those guys are going to be, key foundational parts to the future of our program. So I'm proud of the way they finished this season. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.